Hey everyone, this is Systemshark from WCReplays.com presenting to you an audio commentary, copyrighted 2009 WCReplays.com, so don't go stealing it. It's been a while since my last AC, but I've been doing a lot of research on this given topic, which you guys might have noticed from the description is going to be about the Blademaster. Right off the bat, there are no replays to sync up to in this audio commentary, so if you want to watch the replays that I included in the zip file, feel free to just skim through them and take a look for yourselves at the replays I've used for my analysis, but you don't have to sync up or watch the replays at all during this commentary. I'm going to try to keep it shorter than a regular audio commentary. I'm going to shoot for around 30 minutes. If I can get it less than that, I'd be ecstatic, but so far, my last few attempts, it's actually kind of gone over, and that's why I've had to redo it a few times so far, because I've led myself to ranting. So this audio commentary focused on the Blademaster. Is he imbalanced? Is he not? A lot of people have opinions on it either way. I won't give mine, but obviously, since I'm an Orc player, I kind of believe that there are counters to him, and I wanted to really analyze the abilities of the Blademaster and focus on each little aspect and go over some counters that I've seen for him and kind of bring them to light, bring him into the forefront so people can really look at him and decide for themselves if they think he's imbalanced or not. Obviously, I'm going to get lots of comments in this audio commentary that, oh, BM, imba. And actually, there was a poll recently by somebody, I don't know if it was someone on the forums, and they asked if, said, I think it was going over what race is the most imbalanced, and I think Orc was up there with like 40 votes, but there was another thing that had about 40 votes, which was, is the game balanced overall, and that had about 40 votes, so you either think the game's balanced or you think Orc needs a fix. It seems to be the consensus as of late, but, you know, as someone who's been around the scene for a long time, that changes with the wins, man. Everybody's opinions change, and either through a patch or through some player coming up with a new strategy to beating a certain strategy, you know, just things change in the game. So maybe we're just waiting for somebody to really start countering the Blademaster and make him kind of not as useful as he is, maybe. I don't know. There was a time back in the day when the Farseer was the primary hero of choice, and now it's very rare that you're going to see a Farseer as a primary hero and only on very select maps for, you know, creeping or scouting or something. But the Blademaster is usually superior in every way. So how this AC is going to work is I'm going to go over some of the Blademaster issues. I'm going to cover his abilities, just kind of briefly go over what Battle.net says about his abilities, and we'll go over the statistics that I did, and you guys can maybe come up with your own if you want to figure out if he's balanced or not. I think mine were pretty detailed. What I ended up, I guess I'll go into that when we get to that point. After that, I'm going to go over some counters, both unit counters and hero counters, and although I'm focusing on the Orc vs. Undead matchup, a lot of these kind of apply to Undead, Human, Night Elf, whatever, Orc, Mirrors, so you guys can kind of learn some ways that some other people have, you know, been countering Blademaster, and maybe some ways that people have yet to really start abusing to counter the Blademaster. Let's go over. I'm on the Battle.net website right now. /war3 gets you to the strategy guides, and then you can click on Orc and Heroes and Units. We'll go look at the Blademaster. You guys don't have to do this with me. If you want to watch other replays, if you want to go about your daily lives doing whatever you want to do, that's fine. Again, no replays to watch, so just sit back, enjoy the commentary, and listen to my soothing voice. Right. All right. So we're at Windwalk. Its duration 20 seconds. Its cooldown 5 seconds. Mana cost 75. Blah blah blah. You know what? Instead of going over each individual ability, which is going to be pretty retarded just for me to read it off the website, the way I want to kind of look at this is we'll talk about Windwalk for a little bit because it is a kind of a key ability of the Blademaster. But I don't want to go over all its little details. Basically, Windwalk became a lot more effective when they allowed Windwalk Blademasters to go through units. There were times when undead players could block in an invisible Blademaster and just wait until Windwalk came out or dust him so he couldn't go through the units and kill him that way when he was going through, let's say, a harassment. Or you could even surround a Windwalk Blademaster and he couldn't get out as long as you held your surround. That was back in the day, and you used dust to reveal him and kill him at that point. But now he can go right through units, so even if you dust him, he's still going to run away. He's got increased movement speed. At level 2 Windwalk, it's 40% movement speed, and at level 3 Windwalk, it's a max movement speed, so I'm just looking at it here on the Battle.net website. It happens to be in front of me. Anyway, you don't really see level 3 Windwalk for the most part. Actually, I think it is used in one of the replays I did my analysis on, but I think when you really break down the Blademaster and when you ask most people why is he imbalanced, it's because of Critical Strike. So, reading right off the bat on that website, Critical Strike is a passive ability for the Blademaster, gives a 15% chance the Blademaster will do more damage on his attacks. At level 1 ability level 1, the effect is 2 times his normal damage. So that means whatever damage that he does within his range gets multiplied times 2, and that in effect is his Critical Strike. The level 2 version of Critical Strike gives 3 times damage, and level 3 ability gives 4 times normal damage. Generally, you don't see people going the level 2 ability of this at level 3. You generally see them going the level 2 version of Windwalk at level 3. More often than not, you're going to be facing a level 3 Blademaster in your games versus Orc. So realize that he's not going the 3 times normal damage Critical Strike. He's still sticking with the 2 times normal damage for the most part. And I think the reason for that is Windwalk gives you that guaranteed 70 bonus damage at level 2 for when you break out of it, and you get the increased movement speed, which is nice for chasing things, and obviously a longer duration Windwalk, so you can kind of be more versatile, I guess, being invisible. So the level 2 Windwalk, definitely a better choice at level 3 for the Blademaster. I can definitely see the reasons behind that, and if it's in question for you as an Orc player, I strongly recommend going the level 2 version of Windwalk at level 3. However, when you're at level 4, obviously, you want to hit up that level 2 Critical Strike. And at level 5, I'd actually recommend the level 3 version of Windwalk. 4 times normal damage is pretty significant, but as I'm going to go to in the statistics, and even if you don't know the statistics, 15% chance to do 4 times normal damage really isn't that much when you can guarantee having max movement speed, being invisible, and doing 100 damage when you break out of it with level 3 Windwalk. It scales very, very well. And at level 6, it's hard to not go Bladestorm if you have the opportunity, but I've seen replays where players like Grubby would opt not to go the Bladestorm because it's so mana intensive and opt for the 4 times normal damage and Critical Strike. At level 6, your Blademaster's pretty stacked. He's going to be attacking a lot faster. You could go either way with that. I think Critical Strike is probably more versatile in the higher levels of games than maybe an average level game or average ladder play. I'd go Bladestorm. And in fact, I have gone Bladestorm when I ever get a level 6 Blademaster over Critical Strike. So those are his basic abilities, and we'll go into the details of what the statistics actually are for Critical Strike, because that's the big imbo that everyone is complaining about. Some of the information it says about Critical Strike on the Battle.net website is, let's see, Critical Strike does not work on buildings, and it does not receive damage from, who cares about that? There's some really stupid information here on the Battle.net website. It says it doesn't receive damage from Keeper of the Grove's Thorns Aura, interacts with Thorns properly. I guess that was a big issue at some point. What I noticed when I was doing my analysis here was that something I didn't realize before. The bonus damage that comes out of Windwalk, it shouldn't really be considered bonus damage. It's just damage. It's damage that you don't get. It's not in addition to your regular damage, so it's not like a Critical Strike. Although it looks like a Critical Strike, the number that comes up, it's always going to be 40 when you break it out at level 1. It's always going to be 70 when you break out at level 2, and it's always going to be 100 when you break out at level 3. Out of all the 6 games that I watched, it never Critical Striked, and I believe that, let me see if I can read it here. It doesn't actually say on the Battle.net website, but it never crits. I've never had a crit actually happen breaking out of Windwalk, so that 40 damage doesn't get multiplied by anything. And I think the reason for that is because crits mechanics works off the actual damage the Blademaster does for a regular attack. So if he's not doing any of that damage because Windwalk just doesn't do that damage, then there's no chance that could ever crit anyway. So if you didn't know that, that's something that's interesting. That was interesting to me, and I didn't know that before. After all this time with Warcraft, I never realized that the damage that came out of Windwalk could never crit. That never has a chance of critting. Let's go over some of my statistics now. I was going to include my statistics chart, but my math might be wrong, and it's an Excel spreadsheet, and although I think I did a good job on it, I don't think there's any point to really including it. I'll just read to you the numbers I have, and hopefully you won't be bored too much by the theory crafting. This audio obviously is focused primarily on theory crafting a lot of the times, and obviously there's different chances in different games, and it's Critical Strike is like flipping a coin, or worse, it's like getting a good poker hand, or the odds are really can range. You can get lots of Critical Strike. I mean, there's a chance that every attack that the Blademaster goes can be a Critical Strike. It's a very small chance, but it can happen. So games I analyzed, I tried to pick contrasting games. So I picked